So she's rubbing it, and now she has a feather, and she's tickling it with a feather. And he said, "Hey, this like this very much to come." She still has a crow's your eye. And now it's at a point at full tumorance. And it is now trying to burst the thongs. And she took another piece of wood and went, whack! And the wax shot out of his ears. Anyway, this guy, he was in his 80s, and he meets a girl 22, and she's crazy about him. You may not think it's true, but if you see George Burns, who is going to be 90, God bless him, in January, George is terrific. George tells me a story about Harpo Marx, who he said was a great athlete, and that he could shoot golf as a 2 handicap. And he says, and in the middle of a golf game, he was such a great acrobat, he'd run up a tree and hang from his toes and piss. Then he gives a little puff on his cigar, so you laugh, you know the joke is over. And also, to do that, you have to be pretty well hung, too. He said, Harpo had a pretty large, he said. Of course, George says, I don't play golf that well, and also if I hung from the tree and pissed, I'd piss in my face. Now, George don't tell those jokes too often. But he does get a lot of young girls, which brings us back to the guy 80 and the girl 22 who fell in love with him and wanted to marry him. He said, I could not give you enough sexual action. I have the appetite but not the equipment. She said, nowadays, they are installing metal pieces in the penis. He goes with her to the, what do you call that guy, urologist, and talks to him about having an implant, a penile implant, which means a stick in your dick. So the penile implanter said, not only do we have the little pump and also the rod, we have a new thing now. We take the trunk of a baby elephant and we transplant it onto the nerve endings of your penis. And that becomes erect and strong. He said, I wouldn't want that. I couldn't have thought of having sex with an elephant's trunk with my beloved. He said, you'll never know the difference. Once those nerve endings, she says, let's do it, let's do it. And they do it, and they enjoy a little exploratory sex, and finally they set a date to be married, and at the prenuptial supper in her mother's house, she is sitting next to him, and she just can't take her hand. She zips down his fly, and she starts touching the trunk, and the trunk just comes out underneath there. And as dinner is served, the trunk reaches up, grabs a baked potato, and goes back. Needless to say, many of the family stopped eating. It is very seldom that at a prenuptial dinner, a trunk dick reaches for a potato. And the mother said, I don't know what I saw. Could you do that again? He said, I could, but I don't know if there's room in my ass for another potato. When I was very young, when I was about 14, 15 years old, had a lot of pimples. Like I wasn't fat enough. God said, here, have some of them. Boom. So I had all these pimples on my face. I used to put calamine lotion, zinc ointment. I used to go to Weinberg, the druggist, and get different stuff to put on. And the guys in the neighborhood, the older guys, they said, you want to get rid of pimples? I said, yeah. They said, you got to get stooped. Stooped is a Jewish word. It means you have to have sex, you have to get laid. You're a Christian. How do you do? Perfectly all right, yeah. So I went to the drugstore. I said, could I get stooped in here? He says, not even with a prescription. Once there was a person who don't, a mute, a non-speaking person, who went in to buy condoms. And he went in with, so Weinberg come over, he looked, nobody was around, and he took his thing and put it on the counter, and he put 50 cents, he went, so Weinberg come around the counter, stood next to him, put his out there. It was bigger, he took the $half. Voiceless person started to holler. Weinberg said, you don't want to lose, don't bet. So I had all these pimples, and the guys told me, don't you know what stooped is? Because I came back and told them they didn't have it in the drugstore. I said, what? He said, get laid. I said, where? Go get a job in the Catskill Mountains. So comes summer, I go to work in the Catskill Mountains. I'm working as a busboy in a place called Loch Sheldrake Inn. 247 pounds, a face full of pimples. I'm looking to get laid. Hi, I'm fucking charming. And I'm looking for sex. Well, I was there about a few weeks, and then a woman said, would you like to come up to my room? I said, you want me to bring a pitcher of water? She said, no, just come up there. So I go in the kitchen, there's George, the second cook. George used to have a toothpick. You ever see them guys with a toothpick and they do this, and a little thin mustache, so you know that he's been around. Because when they got a thin mustache and a toothpick, they screwed everybody. I said, George, the woman on double X5, the one that's alone, she told me, come up to the room. He said, go ahead, it'll be good for your complexion. It'll straighten out your face. I said, well, what do I do? He says, you get laid. What do you do? I said, well, I never did it before. You take a shower, yeah, and you put on Aqua Vulva. And then you go up there. Well, I put so much aqua on my vulva, I thought I killed myself. You talk about being in heat, I was on fire. Years later, when I started to shave, I found out you put it over here. I didn't know. I put it over here, I hopped out of my shorts and did a dance. I could have won a contest. Now I went up to the room, I took along a pitcher of water in case she changed her mind. She's liable to say, what do you want? I say, here's water. I walk in, I push the door, it slid open. She's naked on the bed. I'd never seen no woman laying naked on the bed. I thought she was dead. I didn't think a live person would lay around naked with a door open. And I start to perspire, and this reactivated the Aqua Velva. So I poured the pitcher of water on my head. And the owner walked in. He said, what are you doing here? I said, I'm taking a shower. He said, wait outside. I went outside, and to this day, that boss in the Catskills, well, he's dead now, but before he died, he had the nicest complexion in the whole Catskill Mountains. I'll remind you of a good story about Boston. There's a shoe shine boy in Boston, and he shines shoes, and he stops for lunch, and he's eating a sandwich. And the pigeons and the commons in Boston. Anybody here from Boston? Yeah. So you know the commons in Boston? So the pigeons are there, and they go to him, boo-boo, boo-boo. And he looks at them. He's only about 10, 11. eating his sandwich, hero sandwich. Pooh, he says, fuck off. Pooh, fuck off, fuck off. And this old Boston lady dressed in black with a cane, she says, little boy, you shouldn't talk to the pidgeys that way. They're hungry. They want some of your food. If you don't want to feed them, just say, shoo, Pidgey, shoo. And then they'll fuck off. Are you some black people came to see me? Thank you. That's terrific. Did you ever hear about the black lady went to the drugstore and said, I want to buy some tampons. He said, do you want the mini pad or the maxi pad? She said, what's the difference? He said, what is your flow like? She said, linoleum. Do you hear about two Jewish farmers? Two Jewish farmers. They meet in a little town. Hello, Cohen. They say, hello, Levy. How are you? He said, fine. What do you raise? And they say, raising corn. He said, what do you raise? And he said, raising wheat. How is your corn grown? He says, good. But boys and girls, the children, youngsters, teenage, come with the flivvers, with the hot rods, with the wagons, and they park by the corn. And they go in amongst the corn, and they throw pieces of paper, cigarettes, condoms, spoiling the corn. He says, how's about you the wheat? He says, how's the wheat? Fucked flat. I don't know what it is, Danielle. It's the slender body. It's the beautiful face. It's the Italian accent. And I feel stirrings I haven't felt in years. I'm 61 years old. I don't even get erections. Do you know what they are, erections? You do? Good. That'll save a lot of trouble. I used to get them whenever I didn't need them. I'd be sitting in school. I was a little boy in school, 11 years old, sitting there with a pencil box. And the teacher would say to me, Leonard, what's the capital of North Dakota? I said, I don't know. I knew, but if you know, you have to stand up and say, the capital of North Dakota, and then you stand there, and with an erection, you know, and all the kids tease, Lenny has a boner. Hey, look at that. He's been thinking hard, he's got a boner. Then they try to whack it with a ruler. Hey, whack your own dick, leave mine alone. Now, where are those now? Now I walk around and say, Bismarck, North Dakota. I figure maybe that's it. Bismarck, North Dakota. Anna, are you going to tell any of these stories? Do you ever use this language? Never. Want to learn? I'll tell you a story you could tell anywhere, okay? A farmer is driving a horse and wagon, and the dog is sitting next to him. And he hits the horse. And the horse says, don't hit me. And the farmer said, I didn't know the horse could talk. And the dog said, neither did I. Could you tell that one? Yeah, how about this one then? This father in New Orleans had two boys, 1 4 and 1 6, and he took them for a little bite to eat in a little restaurant. And the waitress said to the 6-year-old boy, what do you have, sugar? He said, I have a goddamn cheeseburger. And his daddy reached out and hit him alongside the head and knocked him out the chair. And the waitress tried to cover up quick, said to the 4-year-old, well, you have sweetness. He says, you bet your sweet ass I ain't ordering no goddamn cheeseburger. Yes, that's all right. Okay, then how about this one then?